Thank you for being with us. We will now start our meeting. Thank you very, very much. Welcome to the board meeting of the Alisal Union Board of Trustees this Wednesday, May 17th. Thank you for being with us. I call the meeting to order at 5:30, and I'm going to ask the board clerk, Mr. Ocampo, to please take roll call.
Leticia García, Lupe Gilpas,
Here.
Fernando Mercado,
Present.
Jose Jimenez, and I'm present.
Thank you. Thank you, Board Clerk Ocampo. We're going to go to opening items 1C, the Pledge of Allegiance, that will be led by Nadia Ruiz and Delilah Quintero, students from VRB School.
Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you, Nadia, and thank you, Delilah. Going on to opening items 1D, spotlight. I see that we do have one here.
This is a spotlight from Estela Mercado Rodriguez.
Excuse me. So I know there's a lot of us in here, and when there's a lot of whispering, we can't hear the speaker even if we have the microphone. So if we can, oh yeah, I like that. Zero noise. I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
I keep telling my 4-year-olds that, and they're like, zero noise, zero noise, zero noise. It's like, no, you don't get it. You. But okay, so Estela Mercado Rodriguez. Today I'm representing myself. I'm a transitional kindergarten teacher at Frank Paul School. So a couple of things that I'd like to highlight. First of all, I want to thank you personally, Mrs. Gilpas, for accompanying the kindergarten / TK grade levels to Dennis the Menace Park last week. It was really fun. Just wanted to know that everybody wants to be on Mackenzie's group. So I think hopefully you're accompanying us this Friday to Floral Park, but it was a treat. So thank you so much for doing that. It's important for me to sort of see our board members out in our community participating. And granted, I know that Mackenzie's your granddaughter, but still, it's time from your day to let your granddaughter know she's important to you, and also your time, because this wasn't just about Mackenzie, but the group of kids that you were supporting, which is basically that entire team, that little family of kindergarten students at Frank Paul School. So thank you for that. I would also like to acknowledge my principal, Mr. Flores, my superintendent, Mr. Koenig, and Brother Melendez for surprising me yesterday in my classroom. This girl got the Luminaria Award. So thank you very much for that recognition. I appreciate that. You know, as you get to the end of a career, Miguel says, well, what can I do for you, Estela? No, I just told it. I didn't tell him to give me Teacher of the Year. But Miguel knows that he twisted my arm, and I'm staying on one more year at Frank Paul School, but that is all. But it's lovely to be recognized. So thank you for that. The other thing that I'd like to do is acknowledge, this is Estela, the Vice President of the Alisal Teachers Association, acknowledging Anthony Tony Smith, Giselle Gigi Cornell, and McLaughlin for their outstanding years of service to the children of the Alisal community. These friends of mine are retiring. And so we acknowledged them last week as an association, but I want to publicly thank them for their love and dedication, really, to a very dear group of kids to me. 'Cause I'm not from this community. I grew up in East Los Angeles. I'm first year immigrant, and I know how hard it is to come and give your time to the kids in our community, and I appreciate that because they've been outstanding. And then I know, Mr. Koenig, you just talked to us and you're going to move our public comments up. So thank you for that, because that means that all of my wonderful teachers get to go home a little bit earlier. So we're going to be doing public comments first. And this is how we scream in PK. So thank you for that. And here we go.
Thank you. Any spotlights from board members? Well, I had one, and I had this written even before you all came here, and it was to congratulate all the teachers, and I believe most of you are teachers here in our district. And I'm probably reading Claudia's words because these are coming out of our website, but it's talking about our district being fortunate to have the hardest, most dedicated educational professionals in Monterey County. And we had some teachers and some staff members that were honored at a dinner last week, I believe, at the Embassy Suites. And the good thing about these recognitions is they come from within the leaders, from within us here in Alisal. So I just wanted to read off the names of the classified were Alma Gonzalez, Patricia Perea, Thomas David Flannery, Brenda Morales, and Christian Murillo. And I see Alma right there. She has a smile from ear to ear. Congratulations, Alma. And then there was one teacher from the district, Mr. Jeff Goulardi. I don't know if he's here with us, but he's a third grade teacher at Oscar Loya Elementary School, and he was chosen as the Alisal Union School District Teacher of the Year. So congratulations to him. Then even here within us in the cabinet, Mrs. Monica Ansel won the CALSA award recently, and that was their mission is to create administrators that are highly effective administrators that are committed to quality public education, and she was awarded that. And also I wanted to congratulate our Alisal Art and Poetry Contest winners. So we're all winners in the Alisal district because every award that everybody gets, it shines for all of us and it makes us all look good because we are good. Thank you. And I know a lot of those words are going to come back to me in a little while, but that's okay. All righty. Thank you so much. So we're going to go ahead and go on to opening items 1E, and that's the adoption of the agenda. And I did want to ask if any of the board members have objections, hopefully not, that we put item number 3, public comment, before 2 presentations so that our teachers and other staff members can go home early and correct papers or be with your families. Is that okay? Can I get a
Yes.
nod with that? Okay, we'll do that. So with that being said, may I get a motion to adopt the agenda, please? Mrs.
Yeah, I'll
Garcia.
make a motion to adopt the agenda with that change.
Thank you. Trustee
second.
Garcia. Second, Mr. Jimenez. Okay, any questions? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
5-0, motion carries. So we will go on to public comment concerning items on the open session agenda and or non-agenda items. The guidelines, there will be a 2-minute limit for individuals and a 20-minute limit on total public comments. And there is no ceding of time to other individuals. Now, what this means is each speaker has 2 minutes and we do have a timekeeper. We're asking you to honor that, but that does not mean that, because not everybody that turned in a green sheet is, because we only have 20 minutes, will be able to speak tonight. But our emails are public and our phones are public. That doesn't mean that we don't want to listen to you. We just have to go on to the rest of the student business that we're taking care of tonight. So hopefully that's understood. And we tried to keep them in order, and we'll call them out how we receive them, but if they're out of order, it was done by accident, not purposely. So we're gonna go ahead and go on to individuals wishing to address the Board of Trustees in open session on these agenda items and or other agenda items can do so at this time, and we're gonna start at 5:40, and we're gonna start with Estela Mercado Rodriguez, please.
Oh, like this? I said my lucky number was 7. Okay, so now I'm first. Okay. Whew. Okay, so I'm Estela Mercado Rodriguez, and I'm here to speak for myself. And you heard a little bit about me. I'm at the end of my teaching career. And when I first started in this district, I've lost track, but at least 23 years ago, I was welcomed into this district and I immediately felt at home. I felt that this was my family. The amazing people that I've been lucky to work with, principals that have guided my practice, mentors that have guided my practice, my colleagues who have guided my practice mean a lot to me. My students mean more. This is a very special community of students that I identify with, underprivileged, underrepresented in so many ways. And I know how difficult it is in this climate to attract highly qualified teachers. And if I could do anything to ensure that the next generation of students of this community are going to be served by people that care, I would do anything. And I'll tell you, I'll do anything. It's been a very, very difficult last 3 weeks for me. My father passed away April 28th, and I will be burying him on Saturday. My father was a union man. He said, esa unión no sirve para nada. But there he was on strike, marching up and down the streets of East Los Angeles with my brothers just last year. And I am my father's daughter. He was a man of service and believed in the potential of kids like myself. I know I have to go. So
one last sentence.
yes,
You can make it a long
one
sentence.
last long run-on sentence, right? That went on forever. 2 minutes. You see, I have to give a 7-minute eulogy. It's not going to work. So what I want to ensure that competitive salaries are available to the future generation of teachers that are going to make this their home in this amazing, amazing, bountiful valley that continues to provide not just for the generations past, but for the generations future. And the only way that we can do that is by ensuring that a lot of my young teachers are not living with their moms and their dads, you know, that they're able to afford living conditions, housing conditions, benefits in this district. Because I know many of them labor day in and day out, and you see many of them right behind me, and I love them. And anything that I can do to ensure that, that's why I speak so passionately, and this is why I'm here today.
Thank you very,
Okay, thank
very
you.
much. Miss Young.
Sorry, I'm nervous. I normally talk to kids. So my name is Ms. Young, and I'm the lead negotiator for ATA. Before I tell you what I came here to say, I wanted to tell you a little bit about who I am. Teaching is my second career, and it's the love of my life. I met hundreds of hardworking educators through a literacy initiative I worked for, and they inspired me to get my credential. Of all of those school districts I saw, I chose the Alisal because of our rich tradition of collaboration. Over 10 years, I've watched professional learning communities go from an idea to a new way of collaborating together to help our students grow. My administrators and colleagues mentored me and collaborated to nurture my potential. 2 years ago, I saw ATA and AUSD collaborate to reinvent education using $50 Chromebooks. in the face of a global pandemic. I regularly collaborate to mentor service learners in my classroom, 2 of whom I'm proud to say are now new teachers in this district. Every time I've thought this job was too hard, we've collaborated and found a way to make it work. So I want you to understand that what I'm saying next is coming from a place of love. When we began negotiating, AUSD offered a 5% salary increase. We countered with 15%. It was our hope when we returned to the table that we could collaborate and move closer to an offer that's both fiscally responsible and would still attract and retain the highly qualified educators our students so deeply deserve. Instead, we presented with the same offer that we have been presented with at the prior 2 negotiation sessions. LCAP Goal 4.5 states that AUSD intends to provide an increase in compensation to recruit and retain high qualified staff. The district's bargaining team has openly characterized its offer as not competitive. We love this community. I'm in love with this community. We want to continue collaborating to build a positive LSL for our students, their parents, and our staff, but we can't do it if we can't afford to stay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathleen Alvarez.
Good evening, Mr. Koenig, Ms. Gilfas, and members of the board. My name is Kathleen Alvarez. My comments are about our ability to attract and hire speech therapists here at AUSD. I will be brief. I am a speech therapist who works for LSAL 13 years here now, and I am wondering how. The past 8 years, we have had no new speech hires. Where's the concern? Why aren't you lighting some fires? We have contracted with agencies who aren't so involved with our kids or our families or the problems we must solve. We need 20 speech therapists, yet we have only 4. How will we solve this problem when we need so many more? The contract speech therapists are all online. Is this okay with the board? You stand by it? It's fine. I have presented this board with reams of information. How are you supporting students in special education? If you want things better for our students, then you must enact change. You can't ignore this issue, but then outcomes will stay the same. If the district wants speech therapists who stay, they must provide an incentive. Things like paying us COLA and insurance and being attentive. That's how we get employees who serve our amazing children. We recruit and retain to keep speech positions filled in. Thank you for your time and your thoughtful consideration. Please, please take action on this oft repeated information. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Lisette Zavala Orozco.
Good evening, Mr. Koenig and esteemed board members. My name is Lisette Zavala Orozco, and I am speaking on behalf of myself tonight. I have been proudly working for the LSL Union School District for about 23 years. While thinking about speaking to you tonight, I thought about how we are all on the same team. We are LSL Fuerte, LSL Strong. We both care about our students and community. When you ran for a board position, I know you thought about how you wanted to make a positive difference, just like I did when I decided to become a teacher. Tonight, I want to share with you how we can make AUSD the best district in the county. We can do this by making it attractive to highly qualified potential employees via our salary schedule and our benefits package. It is imperative that we have a competitive package ready before this school year is over. We need to ensure that we attract and retain the best for our students. During the summer break, there is a lot of teacher movement between districts. Everyone is looking for a place where they will feel respected and appreciated. When this happens, employees will go above and beyond to make the greatest impact in their respective positions, which in turn will help us all meet our shared goals for our students and community. If this doesn't happen, it will make it harder for both of us to do what we set out to do. Help AUSD be the place where everyone wants to work and where our students will flourish. Thank you.
Thank you. Angelica Montes, please.
Good evening, Superintendent Koenig, Vice President Garcia, esteemed board members and community members. My name is Angelica Montes and I am a sixth grade teacher and I am speaking for myself tonight. Board members, community members, I would like you to close your eyes for a few moments and remember where you were on March 13th, 2020. Most of us were in our classrooms. Little did we know what the COVID-19 pandemic would ensue for the next few years. Now, we are here and quickly seeing the worldwide effects that the pandemic has left in our world. No need to look that far, but here at home, in our community and in our classrooms. The following questions have arisen because of these effects. As a third-year teacher, such questions shouldn't haunt me, and yet they do. Will I be able to afford housing in this area for much longer? Will I be able to feed my family? Can I afford healthcare benefits? The cost of living has increased over the past 3 years by 10%. The median home purchase price, according to Realtor and Zillow.com, in Salinas are around $688,000. With all due respect, I would like you to ask yourselves, how would you feel if you were a teacher in the LSL Union School District, being welcomed and falling in love with the community and giving everything you have to your students who were negatively impacted and affected by COVID and still not being able to find a home for your own family? We need to attract and retain highly qualified teachers, and the best way to do that is to offer a competitive salary and benefits. Please support LSL students by supporting their teachers. Please provide LSL teachers the increase in salary they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Melinda Ganes. And I'm sorry if I mispronounced the last name, C-A-N-E-Z.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Melinda Quinez, and I have been a teacher for LSL Union School District for 10 years. I am here today to speak on behalf of all LSL Union School District teachers. Teachers who are gravely in need of clarification and understanding. I would like to address concerns regarding salary, health benefits, and cost of living. The health coverage share of cost for certificated management is only 19 to 25% more than that of teachers. Yet the salary for certificated management positions is 68 to 95% more compared to teacher salaries. The average cost of living for a family of four in Salinas includes the following: over $58,000 in housing and related expenses, about $17,000 for food, and over $15,000 for health coverage for the teachers working for LSL Union School District. This totals over $90,000 annually. It does not include many basic expenses. This number has risen to over $115,000 in the last year. The starting salary for a teacher at LSL Union School District is $49,180. This is 13.6% less than the starting salary at Salinas City School District. Not every teacher has a two-person income. Some, like myself, are single parents. Not every teacher has the ability to continue their education as a means to increase their salary. Not every teacher is able to take on additional work in order to increase their income. Yet nearly every teacher I know is a person who goes above and beyond for their students. A person who works far more hours than their contract requires. A person who merely wants to be valued and recognized for their hard work. Many of our teachers at LSL Union School District are also parents of students at this district.
Can you finish with your last sentence?
The students we promise to protect and support. Teachers are the heart and backbone of this district. I respectfully ask that you consider all of this when making decisions regarding our salary and percentage we pay for our health benefits.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rianto?
Good evening, Mr. Koenig and Ms. Gilpas and esteemed board members. My name is Lucas Rianto, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself tonight. I would like to talk about the issue of teacher pay in our district. Our district pays teachers less than other nearby districts. For example, the starting salary for a teacher in the Alisal Union School District is $49,000, while the starting salary for a teacher in neighboring districts ranges from 56,000 to 60,000. This represents a difference of up to 18%. And this makes it harder for us to attract and keep good teachers. Teachers are the backbone of our education system. We need good teachers to help all students learn and succeed, including students who are learning English, have special needs, or come from diverse background. To attract and keep good teachers, we need to pay them fairly. Paying teachers fairly will not only help our teachers, but also our students and our community. When teachers feel valued and supported, they are more likely to stay in the position and continue to provide high quality education to our students. I urge you to support our students by supporting their teachers. Please give Alisal teachers the pay increase they deserve. This will not only benefit our teachers, but also our students and our community as a whole. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you will take this issue seriously and take action to support our teachers and students. Thank you.
Thank you. Janet Martinez Angeles.
Good evening, Mr. Koenig and esteemed board members. My name is Janet Martinez, and I'm the school counselor at Cesar Chavez, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself tonight. I have been in the district for 5 years, and during those years, I have witnessed how the counseling program has started from holding the first 4 counselors to now 12 counselors. One of the most significant issues our district faces in the retention of counselors, in other words, having a stable team of 12 counselors to serve our LSL students. Due to the significant turnover, the counseling program has only had 4 10-year counselors in 5 years. It is common to have vacant spots that only are filled for 6 months until members leave for better wages and incentives that meet the needs of these counselors who are trying to make ends meet in this community where cost of the living is so high. The counseling program has been an ongoing search. The mission of fulfilling the needs of the school counseling community has yet to be met, as the purpose back in 2018 was to address the social emotional needs of students and support our families, and most importantly, remembering the whole child. As the years have passed, especially following the pandemic, the demand of counselors have increased, causing districts to fight to keep counselors. Our district needs to provide competitive salaries compared to our neighboring districts to stay in this fight. Having counselor vacancies affects the whole school community because students do not have a consistent and trusted face. The needs of teachers are not met, and because teachers must wear additional hats, which is overwhelming and detrimental, causing the most essential services within the tier system to be delayed. Please support a whole school community and reflect on the needs of our students facing so many challenges by supporting our counselors. We need to attract and retain highly qualified counselors. The best way to do this, is to provide a competitive salary, schedule, and benefits package. When you support counselors, you support our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Selena Garcia will be our last speaker. Is she present?
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Selena Garcia, and I've been teaching at Chavez for the past 4 school years. This is my son, Salvador Garcia. He also attends Chavez. He's in 5th grade. I am a resource specialist teacher. I came to LSL Union School District with 11 years of experience in special education, teaching moderate to severe students. At Chavez, I have the privilege to work with some amazing students that have special needs that are within the general education classrooms. My first year teaching at LSL Union School District in a whole new program because I come from a special day class teacher to a resource program, which is completely different, was overwhelming to say the least. But because of the awesome students I had, I was able to stay afloat with the paperwork from IEP meetings to assessments to scheduling meetings, coordinating with team members, parents, and that's what's on top of getting to do what I love, which is teaching and lesson planning. And I also had a wonderful site sped team that was there to help me. I do feel that the new special education teachers, they need a lot more of support in their classrooms. And that we're only going to retain our special education teachers, highly qualified. I know I'm one of the few highly qualified special education teachers that's credentialed. And the only way to keep that is to support our teachers and to give them a higher pay. I know when I look and hear that surrounding districts are getting paid higher salaries, their SPED is being offered higher stipends, that does make me question, is LSL valuing me as a teacher the same way that I value all of our students that we're serving? So I'm asking that you'll support us and increase our pay and give our SPED the support that it needs.
Thank you. So again, thank you all for being here. We do have quite a few that didn't get to speak, but you can email us or call us, text us. Our phone numbers are online. And so we're going to pause the meeting. You're welcome to stay. Nobody's asking you to leave. We can get more chairs if you want to stay to the end of the meeting. But we're going to pause so that those who want to exit quietly, we're going to take a couple minutes so that we can resume our meeting in just a couple minutes. Thank you. We do want to resume our meeting as soon as possible. So if you are exiting, we will be resuming our meeting at this time, please. So can we have it quiet in the room? Thank you very much. We're going to go to item number 2, presentations. And we have a school site presentation, the principal, Luis Romero from Virginia Rocca Barton Middle School. Thank you very much. Can we please have it quiet in the room and show respect to Mr. Romero? Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Koenig. Good evening, President, Ms. Barrera, cabinet members, and board members. So today I have the privilege to spotlight Virginia Rocca Barton Elementary School. So I'm Luis Romero, I'm the school principal. Next to me is Ms. Celia Salinas Garcia, my assistant principal. So I just wanted to start is to give a brief history of why our school is named Virginia Rocca Barton. So whenever I get the opportunity, I try to inform our families and students why our school's name is Virginia Rocca Barton. So Ms. Virginia Rocca Barton was a school principal at LSL community. Before the age of 28, she became the first superintendent of the LSL Union School District. After 30 years of service, she did retire in 1977. And after 10 years of retiring, the Alasa Union School District decided to open up their sixth school, and which was named after Ms. Virginia Roca Barton. And it's a unique situation, and where it's not very common during that time that a school was named after a living person. And I think that changed recently due to a board policy. So now I'm gonna jump over just to give a quick overview of Virginia Roca Barton. So we do have a total of 13 bilingual classes. We have 2 SEI classes, 5 ELC classes, and our enrollment right now, we have a total of 508 students, and 70% of those students are considered English language learners. We have a total of 22 teachers, 1 school counselor, 1 effective school solution counselor, and 1 school psychologist. So this
Mr.
school year,
I'm sorry, this is out of order, but I know there's some folks here that didn't get to speak because of the presentation. So Mr. Koenig is going to take the group so that you can refer your questions to him, and we're here to listen to you, but we're going to continue with the presentation, okay? So if you have questions, you can meet with Mr. Koenig outside. Thank you. Go ahead.
and so this school year, our instructional focus is we've been working on designated and integrated ELD to support our English language learners. So our instructional vision is at Virginia Roca Barton Elementary School, we work collaboratively in English language development to empower students to reach their individual potential and become responsible and productive citizens. Some of our goals is to 1-year growth of students' language proficiency among our ELs, increase the number of students reclassifying, and meeting the state average of 60% of the students receiving a level 4 on the LPAC. Last school year, we were at 13%, and so that's our goal, to be meeting those levels of the state. Here on the picture, see bottom left, also we're working with our teachers and students to have those goal setting meetings with our students. I know we have no conference times, but working with a ILT, we want to have them at the beginning of the year and trimesterly. That way students know their current levels, where they're at, and what they need to do to reclassify. So those bottom 2 pictures, to the left, you see our ELD coaches at this time working with those students. We've been working with our team with a PD, and we're teachers, making sure our teachers know the difference between integrated and designated ELD. That's a test that you'll see with our group of teachers working. And then many of our teachers provide templates to our students so they can make sure that they're monitoring their own progress. So at the bottom right, you'll see where students can really track their own progress, making sure they know where they're at in every subject area and the different programs that we're using as a district. Our current reality, so we have a total of 356 English learners, and out of those, 94 are at risk of becoming long-term English learners, and we have a total of 41 long-term English learners. And this school year, we got to reclassify 56 students. And on the graph, you can see our students at our different levels. How many students we have at a level 1, level 2, and a level 3, and a level 4. This picture, so this is from a reclassification ceremony that took place back in January. So we invited our families for hot chocolate, pan dulce, and food to recognize the students that were reclassified. And on the top, you'll see the pictures that are posted on our cafeteria, and where the pictures are up there, so that I hopefully encourage students to hopefully they can reclassify, and the picture can be up there next the upcoming school year. So our current reality, so here's the reclassification criteria. So in order to reclassify, we need an overall score of a level 4 in the LPAC. And on the left, you'll see the criteria for reclassification K through 2nd grade. We use the assessment, the DRA, that focus on fluency and comprehension. And for 3rd through 6th grade, we use Lexile scores, which is based from Renaissance, from Star Reading. As you see in the graph, I listed the averages. for the second trimester. So kinder, the average was a DRA level 1, first grade, DRA level A, and second grade, DRA level 18. Jump into the Lexile schools to third through sixth grade. For third grade, the goal was 450, and for second trimester average, we were at 72 Lexile score. Fourth grade, we were at 297. Fifth grade at 495 as the average for fifth grade, and sixth grade at 687. So these are for second trimester, and right now we're currently administering for trimester 3. So those updated scores will be coming in shortly. So some of our instructional strategies at Virginia Rockabody Elementary School is we do have foreign intervention teachers. At the beginning of the school, we've been going through different cycles. We're on cycle number 4 right now, but at the beginning of the school year, those teachers were really focusing with our students on reading, making sure they're able to decode, on letter and word recognition. But this last cycle that we started in January, our foreign intervention teachers have been supporting our teachers in the area of a designated ELD. So our 4 teachers go into that grade level to support, to have those small group instruction, as you see on the picture on the left. Also, our classrooms, we have ELD walls, and where teachers post their current standard that they're working on, their ELD learning targets for our students, any the vocabulary that's related to the standard, and also frames to support the student in the writing or their speaking. So a lot of our teachers, provide those sentence frames, differentiating those levels for those emerging, expanding, and bridging. So as you can see on the picture to the right, for an emerging student, an expanding student, and bridging student, the sentence frame does expand for the students to, expand their vocabulary and for them to expand their speaking abilities. Also, encourage our teachers to allow students to participate, to speak, right? We want to really give that responsibility to our students. So as you see at the picture, one of our teachers is doing a think pressure activity with one of our students, and with our students, and where students get to practice their English language development. We are a STORM school, which a lot of the strategies with STORM does support our ELs. Some of the stories, the word words you can see here with the different components of a sentence structure. To my bottom of the left, it's called the story map, and where students draw on the focus on verbs and nouns to orally retell a story, or depending if they're working on a opinion piece or a narrative. On the top right, it's the hand plan, in which a graphic organizer that supports students to plan out their writing. And to the bottom right, you see an example of a word chart in which it is used for students to analyze a specific prompt. So they identify all the verbs and all the nouns, so they know exactly what they're going to be working on the writing. And the first thing you see on the middle with the rows is just a strategy that we got some people on this school year, which helps our students to facilitate and lead group discussions. So some implementation of professional development of VRB. So we currently have ongoing PD with Right Up a Storm. Last school year and this school year during GLTs, we've been doing work with the English learner toolkit, getting some of their lessons and strategies. I know recently the instructional coaches have been trained, and administration has been trained on elevation. And I know that's coming up next year for our teachers, but our instructional coach has been going to classes and demoing lessons using the resources from elevation. And this school year, we did a PD on quick science and how to integrate ELD during science. And in this chart, you can see the ELD focus by grade level that was created by our ILT team. And they set some standards and strategies and resources just so they can vertically align among the different grade levels. So as parent engagement, so we do have topic lectures meetings. We have them twice a month, and the topics vary depending on parent interest. you see in the picture on the left, so right now vaping, it's a trend right now. So we invited somebody from the county to educate our parents on vaping. Also, to the picture on the right, we had families interested on the whole process of how do we get my students to university or to a college. So, and that coffee clutch, the presenters presented the different types of colleges, CSUs, UCs, community colleges, and also different ways to finance a university. Social emotional learning. So at the site, we do have a full-time school counselor. We do have a sticks and stones counselor that comes in once a week. We have an MTBH therapist that comes in once a week as well. We have an effective school solution counselor that is there 5 days out of the very full time, and she supports with a lot of the students that need those tier 2, tier 3 supports. We have an ongoing collaboration with our FRCs, and twice a month we have our SST meeting just to support our students that need that extra academic support or any support with any social emotional learning. And we have our PBS system in place. So here, I just want to demonstrate some pictures related to PBRs and our Spirit Day. So top level, it was Career Day. We open our PBIS store. We try to open at least twice a month in order to for students to buy items when they earn their eager dollars, like a membership, so they can go to the store and shop. On the bottom left, that was our last in April, our last PBIS event, in which was an egg hunt. To the bottom right, it was during September 16th, so students, got to wear their cultural attire. And just recently, the first week of May, we had an SPAC pep rally, and where all the classrooms created posters. We had a parade, and we just encouraged our students to try their best on the SPAC and the current testing that we're doing for the month of May. Just recently, Virginia Rock Garden was Blue Zones approved, and we're the 9th school in the district to be approved by Blue Zones. So some of the highlights from going through the certification, where we had during the diabetes month, we educated our students how to prevent diabetes, and we invited I think it was a B2B, so I forgot the name of our guest. But he came and that was a highlight of the assembly. Also, with collaboration with Home Depot, we received a grant, and where they helped us and they financed and they provided the labor to build 12 garden beds at Virginia Rock Garden. And also one of our staff meetings, we took all of our teachers and staff members to the community garden in Atuda Park just to get some ideas of what we can bring back to the school site. And I invite you all this Monday. We're gonna have the celebration for our approval. So this Monday at 8:15 during the morning assembly, we're gonna have our level coaches lead us through a morning exercise, and we're gonna finish it out with a school dance. Okay, so all of you are invited. And I just wanted to conclude with our group of girls that are part of Folklorico. So they performed during our open house. I hope you enjoy. Any questions?
Mr. Mercado? Mr. Ocampo?
Yeah, thank you very much for your presentation, Ms. Romero. I was just curious, could you describe how your bilingual program works, just kind of briefly?
Yeah, so right now, currently K through 4th grade, we have one-way classes, and right now we have 5th and 6th grade are bilingual transference. So in all our grade levels, we do have 2 bilingual classes and 1 English class per grade level. And depending on the strands, they have different percentages that they teach either in Spanish and in English.
So, I'm sorry, I got the K through 4 one-way classes. What did you say, fifth and sixth were?
Right now, they're bilingual transference.
I'm sorry, bilingual.
Transference, I think that's the
Tran-
term, right, BT? So next year, our fifth grade class will be turned into a one-way
I've never heard that before. They're called transcripts?
Transference.
transference.
Transference, bilingual
Yes.
transference.
So it's an old, the bilingual model that we had, which we're fading out into more of a research-based model, which is our one-way.
Is that all? Trustee Ocampo? Did you have, trustee Garcia?
Thank you for that presentation. I just have a question about your foreign intervention teachers. Are those site-funded intervention teachers?
One of them is, the other four were through a grant from Ed Services.
Very nice. Thank you for the presentation. It's
Yeah.
well informed. Thank you.
Mr. Jimenez?
Yes, I want to say thank you for your presentation. And thank you for this is your first year, right? As a
Yes,
principal.
first year and a couple of months, Ms. Salinas, as a right here.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Romero. There's so much passion in your facial expressions. You seem so proud when you're talking and showing us the work of your students. I wanted to congratulate you for that. I had one brief question. I know for a while, a few years ago, a couple years ago, I think there were some issues with some of our unhoused members of the community, but I believe it's gotten a lot better, has it?
Yes, in the back
Great.
here, it's nice and clear, so we can see the back of the school. So far, no issues.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great. That's awesome to hear. And again, thank you for being here and thank you to your assistant principal. I apologize for the interruptions. It's out of the norm, but you handled it better than I did. So
Thank you.
congratulations. Thank you
you.
so much. Thank you. Okay, so now I did not finish item number, was it 3? So there were some, we had the teachers, did they already get their opportunity, ATA?
Mr. Pastoriza?
Mr. Pastoriza, I didn't call you up for public comment for ATA. Did you want to do so? I inadvertently went over it.
Okay, how about that? Let's try this again. Good evening, President Gilpa and the board members and the cabinet. I mean, I want to publicly just first say thank you to the members of ATA for showing up in support of these negotiations and pretty much for helping themselves in the process. And then secondly, to remind everybody, the negotiation will continue on Monday. And it would be great if we can reach an agreement satisfactory for both parties. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. And thank you, Ms. Gilpa and the board for the flexibility with the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. And my apologies, especially to ATA and classified. I didn't follow it like I should have. So at this point, California School Employees Association. And I'm reopening public comment. I closed it earlier at 6, reopening it at 6:25.
Good evening, Ms. Gilpas, Board President, Mr. Koenig, Superintendent, Board members, and Cabinet. First, I want to read a letter from Nutrition Service employee. Please allow this letter to serve as our complaints against our nutritional service management. We, as a group of nutrition service employees, for many years, can no longer remain silent. Our workplace has become very uncomfortable and unhappy place. We did not complain before because we believed things would improve. But as time has passed, it has gotten worse. A hostile work environment has been created by the nutrition service management. And this hostile environment has been noticed by other departments who come and work with us. Their language, actions, and attitude has been offensive, intimidating, rude, disrespectful, hurtful, abusive, insulting, threatening, and hostile. A few of our coworkers resigned due to their attitude and behavior. They have zero skills in communicating with the employees, yet they boast and preach about communication. Some of the issues are no respect. They show no respect for our concerns and opinions. Discipline action. When things don't go their way, their actions to correct us is by using harsh, unpleasant tone in front of coworkers, other school personnel, and even in front of students, parents, or visitors to school and offend us. This is a very embarrassing and awkward situation for us. For them, it makes them look powerful and important to their peers. Intimidations. With this powerful word, they put fear, panic, distress, pride, and anxiety, making us fearful to speak out. Pressure. A lot of pressure is put on us when we ask for a day off. They get very offensive and question us and say, can't you change that day or time after your shift? Do you have hours to take the day? If you don't, you will not be paid. Intimidation and pressure are truly implanted on days off. Food service 1C and subs. When food service 1C and subs are called to come in extra hours, they get annoyed and irritated when their calls are not answered at their convenience. They retaliate against them by yelling and take advantage of them, or not being called anymore to work extra hours. Favoritism. Some employees are excluded from their rudeness, discourteous, and disrespectful attitude, and we ask why. Value. They do not value us as workers. We do not feel appreciated, recognized, and most of all, respected. Morale. Morale is at its lowest. Overworked employees, frustration, fatigue, and mostly the lack of communication and the shifting of goals and expectations. That is why our in-house employees don't apply for higher position because they don't want to deal with this kind of treatment. We, as an employee of the food service department, find this issue very concerning. We hope that a solution to resolve this problem is reachable. We appreciate you reading our concerns and helping us find a solution. Thank you. Sincerely yours, Alizal Nutrition Service employees and CSEA leadership team. And on other note, I know I'm over the time, but today we CSEA start negotiation with the district, and we look forward to have a fair negotiation, to have a competitive salaries and benefit, and especially because our classified staff, we live in the community and we serve. And during COVID, we are classified, and we all work in the front line. So we really hope that we can have fair negotiation and competitive salaries to acknowledge our efforts, because I believe most of classified staff, they are so dedicated, but we don't feel like recognized. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you all for being here.
And thank you to be here.
Thank you. Again, you're welcome to stay. We're going to pause for a couple minutes if anybody wants to exit at this time, you're welcome to stay. We'll continue with the meeting. Is there anybody here from the United Substitute Teachers Union? And again, Keiko, my apologies for that. Gave you an opportunity to speak to your. I'm not aware that under association comments, you are limited on time. Of course, not 10 minutes, but you're not under the 2-minute rule. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna go now back to presentations, item B. Okay, school emergency preparedness, the Big Five, Coordinator of Health and Safety, Deirdre Giddy, People Personnel Service Department.
Good evening. My name is Kate Guidi. I go by my middle name. And I am the coordinator of health and safety for the district. And part of my main responsibility is to curate information regarding health and safety in order to educate students, staff, and families. So tonight I'm going to be presenting about the Big Five, which is what you'll learn as we go on. Clicker. So, emergency preparedness and safety. We're practicing response procedures to increase adaptive behavior in a crisis for students and for staff. Many things that we practice is we look for threats of violence on or near the campuses, annual fire, earthquake, and lockdown drills, global and regional health threats, mental and social emotional health challenges, and regional emergencies such as storms, floods, earthquakes, and wildfires. And what we focus on is situational awareness for our students. So the Big Five is a program that was developed by San Mateo County by their Office of Education. It's a new and comprehensive way to approach and consider emergency preparedness and response for schools. MCOE is introducing this throughout the county this year, and Alisal is one of the first school districts to incorporate that as part of our safety plan. The Big Five safety protocol starts off with shelter in place, drop, cover, and hold on, secure campus, lockdown, barricade, and evacuation. This July, administrators and staff will be receiving training regarding how to incorporate the Big Five safety protocol. And posters will be in classrooms in August. And so shelter in place, that's when there's an external chemical release or hazardous materials spills. The Taylor Farms fire is an example of when we would have sheltered in place, or if there's a threat posed by wildlife. In this instance, it has a mountain lion, although it'd be rare that we would have a mountain lion near our campuses, but we would have coyotes, snakes. Those would be environmental threats. Drop, cover, and hold on is earthquake procedures. So in the event of an earthquake or an explosion, if there's a gas line nearby and it happens to explode, we would teach our students to drop, cover, and hold on, and then if it's appropriate, evacuate. If it's not appropriate, if it's not safe for the students to evacuate, then they stay in place. Secure campus. That's when there's a human threat of danger. We used to call it lockdown, and that terminology has shifted to making sure that the campus is secure. That's if a threat might come on campus, or it's a police activity near campus, or if there's a lockdown barricade at a nearby school. For example, Chavez is right next to La Paz, and so if La Paz went down on went into lockdown, then our students would be in a secure campus situation. Lockdown and barricade. So this teaches the staff how to respond to a lockdown and barricade situation. By having the staff prepared, it in turn protects the students as well. And it really emphasizes not opening the door for anyone, making sure everybody's safe, that they're quiet. And then we have stacked actions if they're outside the classroom or inside the classroom as well. And it's the whole purpose of Big Five is to make sure that people are thinking on their feet and evaluating the situation that they're in and taking it one situation at a time. So they talk about escape, hide, or fight. Fighting would only be the last source, and we are not teaching the students at all about fighting. It would be more of staff. And evacuation, and that's in the event of a bomb threat, chemical accident, and explosion. And it's also evacuating the classroom correctly, but it's also evacuating to a nearby safe location. For example, Steinbeck, if the school is not secure, then they evacuate to Everett Alvarez's field. And Barden Elementary evacuates to Cesar Chavez Library. So those are plans that we have in effect. So we're talking about the look, listen, and leave. So making sure that we're looking outside the door to see if there's any potential dangers, listening for anything unusual that might pose a safety risk. And once it's determined that a path is safe, then evacuate the office or the classroom to a designated safe area. So drills and exercises. So we would be focusing more on staff training, but there would also be monthly safety lessons for our students. And there's a progression that they would be taught. So at first, for August, they would be taught evacuation, and that would be how to evacuate properly for a fire drill. But it's also knowing where to go to be safe. And then we would go to shelter in place in September, and then drop, cover, and hold on in October, which is also earthquake awareness month, and then secure campus in November, and then a lockdown barricade. And we would be repeating this process again in January, so to make sure that the students are aware of what to do in each situation. Part of this is also teaching students about fire safety. So when we do the evacuation in August, we're also going to have firefighters and firemen come in, firefighters, come into the schools and explain what their equipment is and how do they help keep people safe. We also have a program with American Red Cross where we have Staying Safe with Pedro, and there's a pillowcase project where we teach students what to pack if they need to evacuate from their house quickly. There's also an ambassador program for fourth graders regarding earthquake safety. So this would all be programs that we would be using throughout the school year. For staff, we would be talking about evacuation and the reunification process and having tabletop exercises during staff meetings of when an emergency happens, then what are our response to go along with the monthly safety meetings. Also, for families, we would have communication and preparation about the drills. We would be sharing Big Five information to our community and have safety meetings, especially talking about reunification, because if there's an emergency on campus and we don't want 800 parents swarming the campus to make sure that their child is safe, that there is a process in place to make sure that those students get with the right people and that they are safe. So when we talk about drills, we go from the very basic, where it's the introductions and orientations, And then for students, we would be teaching through social studies, storyboards, and videos. And then the tabletop activities are exercises that we do in staff meetings. And then we do walkthroughs also with staff. We have pre-announced drills because trauma-informed practices do not recommend having surprised unannounced drills. And we would very rarely get up to those full-scale drills, and advanced simulations were not at that place at this point in time. So trauma-informed preparedness for TK through 6, making sure that the Big 5 is presented throughout the year, having the posters up in the classroom, and talking about preparedness in relation to the curriculum and lessons. And like I said, the 4th grade ambassadors is part of the 4th grade curriculum for earthquake safety. Making sure that staff is prepared, reviewing safety procedures at the beginning of the school year, conducting tabletop exercises and preparing monthly safety focuses, and making sure that families are aware of what we're doing, communicating when drills are happening, sending home information about the Big 5, and giving assignments to discuss preparedness at home. So what do you do when you're at home and there's an emergency? So our next steps is we're going to identify age-appropriate ways to teach children about the Big 5. What could we do to make emergency preparedness more trauma-informed by staff? And how can we involve families more in emergency preparedness? And like I said, the monthly meetings will go a long way for that, especially having the community involved. And we need to look at good strategies to help students with fear and anxiety during an incident, and what tools do staff need to respond in a more trauma-informed way? And what are some techniques during an incident that you've seen work to help students with disabilities? So, thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. I'm going to start here for questions on my right. Trustee Jimenez,
But I want to say thank you for your presentation.
Ms. Garcia, Trustee Garcia.
I have a few, but thank you. I do appreciate this because it makes a lot of sense. Sorry, I'm not talking into the mic. Yeah, it looks like you have like a plan here, which is really nice to see, you know? It's very sequential even. Yes. So thank you for that. I know it's not always easy to talk about safety, especially lockdown and procedures like that. But can you tell me, okay, so you kind of did allude to it. So how many times a year are you planning on practicing, or the school's planning on practicing? Let's just say the lockdown one.
The lockdown, they tend to do once per year, but we would be doing it twice.
Okay. And so just every single one of those that you mentioned here, they're going to be doing twice maybe? Because I think
We're
you said-
required to do fire drills once a month, and then we have to have one earthquake drill during the school year as well.
So like that minimum, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so secure campus, is
That's something we informally do because our campuses are secure, and that teachers lock their doors, and that there's only one point of entry in and out of schools. So that's not something we practice per se, but it's something that happens on not a regular basis, but it's whenever there's a police activity nearby, the campuses go down into a secure campus.
So I think my question was kind of like, so visitors on campus do all our sites have like a clear procedure on how to bring visitors on
Yes.
campus?
Yes.
And can you just talk a little bit about that?
They all check in through the office, and then they have a sign in where we don't require IDs or that we don't do a background check when people come on campus, but that would be something more of a facilities question.
Oh, okay. And I have a few more. Okay, so you answered that one. So talk to me a little bit about recess. So you have students, you have staff, classified staff at recess during lunchtime, and you're calling a lockdown. How is it, are classified also getting trained to respond to this? Because they often do not have keys. And so they often, you know, if you need to bring those in and make sure that they're also
That's
trained.
part of one of the lockdown procedures if they're outside during a lockdown. Let's see, it's back in the slideshow. I'd go back to it. But yes, training classified staff in addition to certificated staff is a high priority for us.
So if they're out recess and.
When they're
there's a
off
lockdown,
recess and they're on lockdown, they need to go to the nearest classroom or safe place for them to be.
Okay.
So it depends on where the event is happening.
And then one more thing about safety committees. So does each site have a safety committee and
It's
do
part of their
safety plan? It should
It's
be.
part of their comprehensive safety plan. It's also part of their school site council that sometimes blends into that safety committee.
It does. Because it really.
On some of them, it's-
I'm asking because I mean.
Because we're trying to get
Right.
more
Sure.
involvement with parents in the community to be back on campus and helping out and being part of committees. It's something that has dissipated during the pandemic and having people not being allowed to be back on campus. And so for a site safety plan, the school site council can approve a site safety plan or a safety committee can approve the site safety plans. So it is a goal for us to have more school-based site safety committees.
So in other words, a school should have a school safety plan, committee
Yes.
at top of their school.
Yes.
Site.
And most schools, it is their tier one PBIS committee is the teachers and the classified staff that are part of it.
Okay, and I think that was all. Oh, yeah. So can you talk to me a little bit? And maybe it might not be you, but how about the safety threat assessments? Have
That
those
is-
been concluded or are they part
That-
of what you're putting together? Or is that's another
That's an-
conversation for someone else?
That's another conversation for someone
Okay,
else.
well, I thank you for your time.
Okay, Mr. Mercado?
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Garcia. You took a lot of my questions.
Sorry,
But I do have one.
I am so sorry. I apologize for that, Mr.
Yes, you were saying that every month, there's gonna be some kind of, training for staff
Yes.
members, yes? And it's somehow gonna be repeated in January?
Yes, so
Yes.
we would go more in depth. So for example, evacuation, we would be talking about in August, we would be talking about how to conduct the fire drill correctly. And in January, we would be talking about how to evacuate the school and having those steps and where would we go in the event of an emergency.
I know, I didn't see that part of the presentation. If maybe, you can forward me a copy of his.
We haven't done much for safety. So this is a big step.
Thank you.
Mr. Ocampo?
Well, thank you for your presentation. It was very sequential, like someone said, and I guess it was. I'm just curious. It seems to be a lot of moving parts. You know, like sometimes teachers may be required to evacuate, or they may be required to stay in place. Does that direction usually come from the principal, or how does that?
Yes, and there's actually, I forgot to mention it, part of the Big Five program is there's an administration packet which has step-by-step of what to do in a certain situation. And also part of it is a public information packet that how to communicate to the parents. So,
Thank you.
Thank you. A lot of information here with the Big Five. I'm sure when the training comes, you're going to go more into depth into some of the categories here that would call for a lockdown or a barricade, because that's the scary one. You know, because I look at slide number 15 with all these students
Yes.
taken off. And I know they're not leaving because there's a mountain lion
Yeah.
on there. What's happening?
Um,
Probably an active
Yeah.
shooter.
Yeah.
And so.
or the aftermath of an active shooter.
Right,
Yeah.
or something like that. And I know this board has asked many times, and I know Ms. Garcia's looking, Trustee Garcia, is anywhere in here, is there training for staff instead of just that? Because if I was to ask a parent, if I run into a parent and say, what's the thing you're most afraid of? They're not going to tell me they're afraid of snakes and
It's
lions
lions
coming into the
coming.
classroom. They're really not going to say fires and earthquakes as much as an active shooter. And yet I don't see that anywhere here, except maybe in where it calls the site of an intruder. So when are we really gonna get, and I'm not putting this down, this is
Mhm.
good information, but when are we gonna talk about that? When are we gonna train teachers, our students at the level of their understanding what to do with an active shooter?
Well.
Is there room
well-
here?
Well, we've had 3/4 of our staff have been trained for active shooter training. Um, Trauma-based practices tell us that not to train students for active shooter because it causes more trauma than what the reality is of it likely to happen. According to an FBI study between the year 2000 and the year 2022, so this is a 22-year study, there have been 48 instances of an active shooter on a school campus, and that's out of 130,000 schools. So that's an average of 2 schools per year for the past 20 years. So the likelihood of it happening is less than, say, an earthquake. So if we teach our students how to prepare for a secure campus or a lockdown and not necessarily an active shooter, the training will kick in because students are going to run anyway when they're scared. And that's what active shooter training is, it teaches students to run. So we're preparing them to be aware of their situation around them.
Okay, could you get that data for me? I thought we had a lot more school
There's-
shootings than, how many did you say in the last?
We've
20
had,
years?
in the past year, we've had 3/4 of our staff trained. We had a lot in June last year there were AM and PM groups. I don't have an exact number for that. But we also had them in November and December and January and in February. We also had.
I think what I would like to see is information on why we shouldn't be teaching our students what to do if there's an active shooter.
On the very first slide where it says emergency preparedness, there's a link in there and that talks about
Is,
trauma informed.
is that, and I'd like for the board, for us to have a conversation later on that, because that's hard. I mean, the other day I saw on the news lists of schools that have had shootings, and what you're telling me and the doesn't seem, I mean, I'm gonna look
Yeah,
at that link
yeah.
because I'm not okay with that. And this is great, but I think we need to add a little bit more for our teachers, for our staff,
Mhm.
because I think that's more likely to happen. Pray that it never does, than a snake or a mountain lion coming into one of the classrooms in the Alisal Union School District. So just like we were saying earlier, that we want to put our money, towards
Mhm.
teachers and what they're doing, the great work they're doing. I think the same with our trainings and paying for consultants or whatever it is that we're doing on what's exactly happening in LSS, because I don't think a mountain lion's going to come into our classroom. But there's the likelihood that other things can happen where we could train.
Well, and that's part of
Is
the
that
training.
part of this
Yes.
year? Okay, so where does it say that?
For which part? That's
For-
why we're training about the secure campus and the lockdown and barricade.
Okay, so do we still have the consultants that are doing the active shooter training, Mr. Koenig?
I
Or
don't
do-
think, we're not doing the active shooter training at this time.
Oh, anymore. We don't have that. We're not going to be doing that.
No, we're looking at other opportunities.
Okay, so now did teachers give input to this program, to the Big
Um,
Five?
For the big five, that was
Yes.
something that was developed by San Mateo County Office of Education. So that
Okay.
hasn't had teacher input in it. Or
Okay,
in our district, it did have teacher input and um, emergency responders input in San Mateo County.
so then the purpose of this presentation, or has the board already adopted this? Or is it an idea that might come forward? I'm kind of lost
This
there.
is the current training that
Yeah.
the training program that we're following. It's not curriculum that the board would
Mhm.
need to approve before we did it, but the purpose of this presentation is to tell the board what we're doing and get your comments. And I think it's succeeded.
Thank you very much.
you.
Any more comments? Did anybody want to add anything?
I just one more comment, and it's just about substitutes. Too often our substitutes that come to the school have no clue what to do in an emergency. What is the procedure to train our substitutes, whether teachers or classified? Because sometimes we have classified custodians that come on our campus, and I'm not really sure what the procedure has been to actually train them as well. And do you have a plan? If you don't have a plan right now, you could add that
That is
somewhere.
something that we're working
Yeah.
on, and that is
For thought, because sometimes you do get substitute teachers in the classroom and they just have
Absolutely.
not been trained, and you call a lockdown, and I think
And that's
they're
why
pretty scared.
having the posters in the classroom is good, because it does tell the substitute teachers what they're supposed to be doing.
Thank you for all that information, Ms. Gidi. We're going to go on to our next presentation. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Visual and Performing Arts, VAPA Education, Mr. Hernandez, Dr. Hernandez.
Good evening, President Gilpas, board members, Mr. Koenig, colleagues and community members present. Tonight I come to speak with you about a different topic, not necessarily assessment data on district or state benchmarks, but instead I'll be talking with you or sharing with you information about Prop 28 and what that means for Alice L. Union School District and the students that we serve. So Prop 28 passed last November. As you may recall, we voted in support about this measure about art and music in schools, and it passed, which means that we are reinstating opportunity for arts education for all students during the instructional day as ongoing funding provided to districts by the state through Prop 98. So the way Prop 98 or Prop 28 is coming to districts in California is based on an initiative to ensure that what we're providing is arts education that is based on the arts standards and framework that have been adopted. So we do have art standards and an arts framework that guides the work that we would use to plan this work. So in essence, they defined the student opportunity in that students would be able to develop art literacy. And in the framework, it says that they would be able to understand, create, perform, present, produce, respond, and connect through the arts. And then transfer knowledge and skills learned from authentic experiences in the arts that transcend historical, cultural, and societal contexts. That's language from the arts framework that again guides the work for districts in California. So we did not have dedicated ongoing funding for arts education. Back in the day when I started in the district, we used to have a teacher that would come around every so often, and the kids would get so excited when Miss Ford would come in and do a music lesson with them. Over the years, funding that supported that endeavor went away. So Prop 28 is bringing that notion or that concept back for all students in California. So starting this coming school year, the state will provide additional funding to increase arts instruction and programming, and that the amount would be equal to 1% of Prop 98 that K to 12 schools received in the previous year. So this funding will be provided in addition to the constitutionally required amount of funding for schools. So this additional funding, again, intended for arts and music in schools. So then the program that we're supposed to put together with Prop 28 funding is to include instruction, training, supplies, materials, and arts educational partnerships for instruction in 5 main areas that are in the framework: dance, media arts, theater, visual arts, and media arts. So those are the 5 key disciplines within the arts that are to be part of our plan. The way the funding was determined was based on the enrollment for this school year. 70% of it was based on enrollment and 30% based on our unduplicated count. So in essence, the percentage of students that come from low-income homes. And that the district can retain 1% for running the program or for administration of the program. One guidance or guideline that is in the language of Prop 28 is that 80% of the funds are to be expended to employ, to hire. So again, if we are to have a continuum of arts that is going to be education that our students are going to be able to receive to become literate in the arts, then we have to dedicate the majority of the funding to the hiring. So if you noticed, there is a job description for first reading on the agenda for tonight, on the board agenda for tonight, for a teacher on special assignment with an emphasis in visual and performing arts, to be able to support this endeavor and plan starting in this coming school year. The planning would start, and then eventually our hope is to have the adequate staff to be able to run the program. So then we are to develop a plan that would be presented to you. So I'm giving you an overview of Prop 28. Once Prop 28 funding is utilized in ALISAL, then we would have to come back to you and let you know how Prop 28 funding was used, what the emphasis was at every school, how many students benefited, and the types of activities that took place at each site to support arts and music in schools. So again, 80% is to be expended in hiring, but then the remaining can be used for training materials and arts education partnerships at 20%. Like I said, we are to present to you a report every year. And then after presenting it to you, we are to submit that report to the California Department of Education, indicating how the funding from Prop 28 was used. So again, starting next school year, I just said it, we're to report to you and to the CDE. And then our plan and our funding expenditures are subject to the annual audit. So we took this presentation to the site administrators. We took it to the Ed Services Advisory Team, which has representatives from the sites, and asked for some ideas related to if this funding came to our district now is ongoing funding for the arts. What are your ideas related to staffing? What are your ideas related to scheduling? And what are your ideas related to programming? So the next slides are ones that describe what some of our employees and stakeholders indicated could be considered for staffing. So the first one would be to hire an arts coordinator or a teacher on special assignment to provide site support based on enrollment, to hire paraeducators and rotate among schools delivering visual and performing arts lessons, implement lessons similar to those delivered or through the process delivered to the grade level release teachers, but with an emphasis in visual and performing arts, identifying a lead teacher similar to that of the ed techs for VAPA, and then to also consider how we would provide opportunities for students receiving special education or with IEPs. Then we also looked at ideas related to scheduling. Some of the ideas were to rotate the support half a year or a trimester by sites or by grade level or grade level spans, to have students receive a 30 to 45-minute lesson every 3 to 4 weeks, depending on how many days are dedicated per site. Some of the ideas related to programming included having some project-based types of assignments in the various arts that could be supported by staff. We've had a partner from Yoli Arts that has provided some support, not to a full extent district-wide or for all grade levels, but that's an example of one of the partners that has supported us throughout the day. Here's an idea related to have a grade level emphasis, like TK and first grade, TK to first grade song or choir, second grade visual art, third grade music, fourth grade theater, fifth grade dance, and sixth grade coding and video. So the intent is to have students that come through our district have an experience in the arts that varies from the time they enter our district in TK or kinder to sixth grade, with an emphasis on something different related to disciplines in arts that they can continue developing beyond the day and even beyond our time analysis, their time analysis. We also talked about integrating the content, so visual and performing arts as a lever for language and literacy, so students can continue developing, for example, language, English, when they're comparing something they've created, using the language to describe drawings or projects that they've created, as an example. So it would be integrated. Lessons provided by local partners such as Arts Council, accessing resources from our county offices of education, extending some of our partners that we have, through Folklorico, Drumline, Campesino, and Forza, Color Guard, and also including McCade and Fab Lab and Stop Motion for graphic design through the county office of education. So some of the immediate actions in preparation for implementation of Prop 28 this coming school year were to revise the existing job description from music teacher, which was the old one that we used to have, to one where it would be a teacher on special assignment with a focus on visual and performing arts instructor, which is what you see on the agenda for tonight. Continue the possibility of having a classified position supporting VAPA as well, applying the TOSA positions for VAPA and possibly paraeducators as well, and developing site and district level implementation plans. Finally, extending the existing educational partnerships, presenting to you, and hiring of staff. The last slide contains some resources like the art standards, the framework, some articles related to how we can build a better brain through music, dance, and poetry, and how our students deserve a robust arts education and how that impacts their learning and success in the core academic areas. So this is an introduction of Prop 28 for you tonight. The details in terms of how this will roll out are still in the works because we still have not received specific guidance for expenditures from the state. So we were told you're gonna have this proposition passed, but the guidance for expenditure of Prop 28 funding has not even been provided to us. But I wanted to give you the language or provide you the language from Prop 28, so we're ready for whenever the funding is here and we're ready to implement. I'll entertain any questions you may
Thank you,
have.
Dr. Hernandez. Mr. Jimenez, do you have any questions? Trustee Garcia?
Just thank you for this presentation. It's a good heads up. So just one clarification. So there's only going to be one teacher on that TOSA that's going to be in charge of the whole districts?
No, the intent, if we go that route and the funding allows it, it would be to have at least 6. So then they would be assigned 2 schools each.
Okay, that makes more sense. I go,
Mhm.
one?
No, no, no. No, back in the day, that's what we saw Mrs. for maybe every 3 months or every once or twice a year, because there was only one of them.
All right. And so if you go with the music, I mean, you're talking about instrumental music, or what are we talking about when you say music?
So we have the opportunity to, depending on the staff that comes on board, we will finalize the implementation plan based on the experience and training they bring in, that they can offer. But it has to be within one of those 5 disciplines: music, dance, theater, visual art, or media art. Those are the 5 anchor from the framework that need to be included within our plan. So the details in terms of how that would be in our action plan will be contingent on who we are able to hire
I
and
see.
what experience they bring in.
So this is in addition to all the programs that are happening right now, because this will be happening in the day. The rest of them happen after school, right?
Exactly. The opportunities we currently have are only after school for the most part. Now we are required to make this part of the instructional day.
Very
So that all
nice.
students have the opportunity to, along with the core that we consider mainly English language arts, math, science, social studies, and English language development, that art is also part of their day, directly or through an integrated approach.
Well, I do hope you find somebody that teaches instrumental music, because I think, I mean, I was a product of instrumental music. A lot of us, I mean, a lot of teachers, I don't know about Al, but a lot of other teachers that I know, we all were in band at one point in our life, and it started off in elementary. But thank you for your report.
Just one thing I wanted to say, the requirement in terms of credentialing for districts like ours that are serving K through 6 in a self-contained setting, a teacher with a multiple subjects credential is qualified under Prop 28 to be able to provide the support. So we don't need to have people with arts credentials per se. That's required when you're departmentalized in middle school and high school, because that's all you teach. That's the only thing you teach.
Wait, so can you say that again? So you're asking the teacher to actually do all the work?
No. What I'm saying is, if we hire teachers on special assignment,
Yeah.
the multiple subjects credential would cover their
So
requirements.
then they don't, the people that you're going to hire, top of the teachers that are in the classroom do not need a special certification to
Exactly.
teach music. Or
Exactly.
I'm assuming they wouldn't happen to know how to teach music though in order to teach music, but very good. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Trustee Mercado?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Koenig, so 1% of Prop 98 for our district, how much is that?
That's yet to be determined. When we initially heard about the program, we were told it would be $1.4 million. About 3 weeks ago, we received a notice that, don't plan on 1.4 million. It'll be over $1 million, but we don't know how much over $1 million.
Well, it's kind of hard to plan when you don't have those. So I'm glad we're planning ahead, but it's good to consideration. My other question is, how long would the state be funding this? Based on the presentation, it said ongoing. but-
Until such time it becomes a ballot, it goes back on a ballot where voters say no longer will it be funded. Right now it's legislation, so it is part of the funding that districts are to receive. And it was a majority, I think it was 60-some% voted in favor of having funding come from the state to districts to support arts in education. So I would see it having to go back on a ballot to say no longer, but it's ongoing. So the district would receive funding and would be able to spend that funding for up to 3 years.
Great. And if I know
Every year.
more of a comment than a question, but I could, I could see this happening for all of our students, but more in particular, students with special needs that could benefit from theater arts, that could benefit from music.
That's why when you saw our brainstorm of ideas, that was included there to make sure we had specific considerations and supports, accommodations as needed to make sure all students have access to this opportunity as part of their instructional day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ocampo?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Hernandez. I think that, I know you were saying that the qualification is that they have to have a multi-subject credential, and that qualifies them. So I guess we'll have to figure out some way of assessing that they really have, that they do have a strong background in the arts. Well, I guess we'll have to figure that out. How do we determine, that someone is in fact, a strong person that can teach the arts adequately. And the other thing I think that the whole thing is really, in my mind at least, it has a lot of really great potential, because I think the arts, if taught well, will animate our students. It certainly will increase their creativity, their imagination, and I can't help but believe that will transfer over to increased academic skills, at least in my opinion. So the whole project really sounds exciting to me, like with a lot of potential. But what's key is that we hire people that are really, care a lot about the arts, and will transmit that to the students, and that are actually skilled, in dance or music or whatever, whatever that might be.
If I may, in the job description, it does say the minimum qualifications require the multiple subjects credential as well as training and experience in the arts. So then someone may have had a minor in arts, but that could be determined through the interview process.
Thank you. I really don't have any questions. It says be ready for implementation July 1st. So hopefully we get the funding before then, or else how could that happen, correct?
I think
Or-
that the one thing that, because of the scenario with budgeting this year and the delayed taxes, all that that were deferred to October, is impacting the final decisions the state is able to make regarding funding. So because of that, the funding would be available in 23-24, but we would have 3 school years for every funding year to spend it. So if we need to take more time for planning until we know exactly what figure is in the bank, then we'd be afforded.
Thank you, Dr. Hernandez.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're gonna move on to item number 4, which is board member superintendent reports. I'll start to my left this time with Mr. Mercado.
I have nothing to report.
Mr. Ocampo? You're gonna tell us anything about Guadalajara?
If you want.
Thank you, thank
Uh,
you. Mr. Jimenez? Ms. Garcia?
No, I just want to congratulate all the classified and certificated teachers and site administrators actually on their week of appreciation. And thank you. If nobody's thanked you today, I'm thanking you and on behalf of the board for all the hard work you guys do every single day. Not easy to be a school employee. It really isn't. And I know because I've been doing it for 25 years. It's not easy. But we thank you from the bottom of our hearts and continue to do what you do on daily. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe that's Sue. Is that Sue? Midori Jones sitting next to you? It's her twin. I thought maybe that was her. I was gonna recognize her there. Okay. I know, but most people that retire are right back here, aren't they? A lot of them are, like you will be. Thank you. I'm messing up here. Sorry. Okay, we have superintendent now that's going to report. Thank
Oh,
you.
I have one item I'd like to address. I have a letter from a former student who's reporting on her success after leaving ALSAL. So let me get started. Dear AUSD Board of Trustees and Superintendent, my name is Gabriela M. Jimenez, former student at Dr. Oscar F. Loya Elementary School, 2006 to 2012. I write this letter to announce my graduation after 4 years of study from California State University, Fresno. In a few days, I will be earning a Bachelor of Science degree in criminology and the Bachelor of Arts degree in sociology with a minor in Spanish. As I celebrate this important milestone in my academic life, I reflect on how blessed I am to have had great teachers throughout my academic journey, beginning with my beloved elementary school teachers, Mrs. Cameron Lopez, Mrs. Victoria Hogan, Mrs. America Lawson, Mrs. Ann Pace, Mr. James Menendez, Mr. Fernando Armenta, and Miss Loretta Muniz. Under the administration of Principal Mrs. Mary Magana and Principal Mrs. Diana Garcia. They have a special place in my heart because my elementary school teachers have built my educational foundation, which has allowed me to earn my college degrees. My parents, family, and teachers' support in my education means so much to me. I take this opportunity to express my gratitude through this letter to my teachers and principals from kindergarten to sixth grade. Their class and life lessons have been a motivation to strive for the best and achieve a higher education. I appreciate and value my teachers' dedication, time, love, and effort to their work and students. Not only do I owe my academic success to my efforts, but also to all the AUSD teachers who have made a difference in my life. On behalf of all the former students of AUSD, now college graduating class of 2023, thank you, teachers, for preparing us to walk with confidence and courage into a world of endless opportunities. Sincerely, Gabriela Jimenez.
Thank you. And I guess we can ask maybe that everybody mentioned there gets a copy of that so they can read it. That would be great. Thank you. Okay, moving on, no business items on 6, no educational service items, no human resource items. What did we skip, 5? Oh, yeah, I was looking at that. Thank you so much. I was just testing you. Oh, you're doing good. Okay, so yeah, here we are. I skipped a page. Item number 5, consent agenda. I need a motion, and we also have a blue sheet. Can you please highlight the change, Mr. Koenig?
Changes the effective date in part 1A, the effective, as written in the agenda, the effective date is the 2nd of August. These teachers are being hired effective July 1st of 2023.
Okay, thank you. All right, so can I get a motion, please?
I make the motion to change, to reflect the change.
Second one?
Mr. Jimenez, any questions, comments? Thank you. I'll ask for the vote.
I'm
All
sorry.
those in,
I'm sorry.
oh, I'm sorry, yes, Mr. Mercado.
Yes, sorry.
Go ahead.
So I noticed that there's just a question on some of the agreements in general. You know, many of the agreements here are for 1 year, but I know we've been using Achieve 3000 for a while now. We know we've been using Power Schools. And so we don't have, I don't think we have any anticipation kind of changing those anytime soon. So I was wondering if there's a way we can get those savings versus having a 2-year contract versus a 1 year.
We'll look into it, but at this point, in order to have the contract continue, I recommend that the board approve the contracts as written.
Yes, it's only for the future to have that consideration because we could be potentially, we say, saving, you know, $50,000 to $100,000 in some of these contracts, and that's pretty significant.
Understand.
Thank you, Mr. Mercado. So we have a motion by Mr. Mercado, a second by Mr. Jimenez. Are there any more questions or comments by the board? I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? No, motion carries on a vote of 5-0. B, minutes of, oh no, that's the whole agenda.
6.
Uh-huh. Five, yeah. There we go. So no, 6, no business service support, educational services. Under human resources, A, we have an action item, LSI Union School District, articles for negotiations 2022-23 school year with the California School Employees Association. I need a motion, please.
So move.
Mr.
Second.
Ocampo. Mr. Jimenez, motion. Second, are there any questions or comments by the trustees? No? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, motion carries. Human Resources B, action, ratify California Teachers Association release time agreement for Angela De Ramos. Motion, please.
So move.
Mr. Ocampo,
I second it.
Ms. Garcia.
I do, yeah, go ahead.
Questions or comments?
I have a comment. Like,
Yes.
how long will Mrs. De Ramos be on leave? Is that an indefinite thing or how does that work?
It's essentially indefinite. It's until she's no longer selected by CTA to serve on their statewide board.
So like she can, is she reapplying for that every year or? how does that
Actually,
work?
there will be another one. We've just been informed that she's been renewed for 2 years, for another 2 years. So she will be renewed as a CTA statewide board member.
Okay, I just wanted to know, like, how long does something like this stay in place? So it's until she either decides to give it up or they go with someone else? Or, so that was kind of my question.
That's
How
correct.
long? Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Ocampo, second by Ms. Garcia. I'll go for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, 5-0, motion carries. Human Resources, item C, this is an action item. Memorandum of Understanding between LaSalle Union School District and LaSalle Teachers Association, storm response, January 9th through 13th, 2023. I need a motion, please.
Second.
Ms. Garcia makes the first motion, a second by Mr. Jimenez. Any questions or comments by the trustees? None. Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries unanimously. Human Resources 8E, action item, request for a new full-time reading specialist. FTE, which one? Okay, I'll go right back to that one after this one. Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Can I get a motion for that one, item E?
So move.
Mr. Ocampo,
Second.
second by Mr. Jimenez. Any comments or questions by the board?
Just a comment. This is the one where we're hiring 12 full-time reading specialists? Is that-
Yes, that's correct.
That's correct. Okay, yeah. I just wanted to say that I think it's a great idea. You know, that's a lot of reading specialists. But it's good. I mean, I hope to see that, you know, our students that are reading below grade level, that their reading skills will improve, since reading is so important in academic success and in math and in everything. So I think it's a move in the right direction, and hope to see some results from that in the future.
Any more comments? Okay, so we have a motion by Trustee Ocampo, second by Mr. Jimenez. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Garcia. I'll go back to D now. Action. Revised job description, K-3 intervention teacher to reading specialist. This is an action item. I need a motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Mercado makes the first motion.
Second.
Mr. Jimenez, the second. Questions? Comments for the board? No? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? All those, I see motion carries unanimously. Now we'll go on to F, correct? F, first reading, job description, school psychologist two. One. G, first reading, job description, teacher and special assignment, visual and performing arts. We're gonna be calling that VAPA or VAPA? VAPA, VAPA, all right, VAPA, VAPA, okay. Thank you. Okay, now we'll go on to administrative services. 9A, amend the 2023 regular board meeting calendar. Can I get a motion, please?
So move to go with the staff recommendation on that.
Thank you. Second. Trustee Jimenez, any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposition? None? Motion carries unanimously. So we have some future agenda items. A, B, C, D, E, and F. I'm not gonna read all of those at this time. Does the board want to add any more? And of course, this is not the only opportunity to add. You can always contact Mr. Koenig. Mr. Jimenez,
Oh,
please.
I need to contact Mr. Koenig.
No, no. I mean, this is not the only opportunity you have to add an agenda.
Oh, okay.
item.
Yeah, but I wanna
Yes.
add something.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Koenig, I am requesting for the next meeting of June 7th, an ELOP update for the board members. We would like to know and understand the 22-23 plan. Consider my request, please.
What was that? Could you repeat the what?
Oh, the ELP? ELOP. Yeah,
Thank you.
please.
Was that all, Mr. Jimenez? Thank you. Anybody else on Mr. Ocampo, Mr. Mercado? Ms. Garcia? So I want to ask, I'm not even sure if it's a board presentation or an update, but where is Alma? Do we still have Alma? Do we not? Are we having the meetings? I mean, who's the representative of Alma on the board? Are we having meetings? Oh, okay. Mhm. So.
I've
where
been to
do-
one.
Oh, Thank
That
you.
was a while back. So, yeah, I haven't gotten any other invitations, but I don't know if they've been, I'm assuming they're not happening. But
So
I
are
don't
we
know if
gonna
that to be true.
proceed with it? Is it dying
well-
out? Oh, I'm not sure.
The big work that was being done as part of ALMA was the ILT meetings, and the ILT meetings are continuing. We had,
Wait, I can't get into the discussion right now.
yeah,
I'll let
okay,
Mr.
we'll give you
Koenig-
an update
But
on
maybe
ALMA.
just an update, and not necessarily a board presentation. But an
Okay.
update on it, so that we could know where we stand on that. That would be my request there. Thank you. So. Let me see. Okay, so we'll go on to 11. Public comments, closed session agenda items only. A, guidelines, there will be a 2-minute limit for individuals on public comment and a 20-minute limit on total public comments. There is no ceding of one's time to other individuals. B, individuals wishing to address the Board of Trustees on closed session agenda items may do so at this time, starting at 7:33. No, we'll end it at 7:34. And we are going to adjourn to closed session at 7:44. So we'll take a 10-minute break for board members, but please be in the room over there at 7:44. We're gonna close at, we're gonna adjourn to closed session at 7:44, at 7:34. See you at 7:44. Thank you. Thank you all for being here.